Welcome to Seeking Focus, a podcast that provides photographers and videographers with a place to critically compare technology, share ideas, and enhance their skills.
Hey Marty, how's it going?
Hey man, it's been 2 weeks now, and we're actually recording episodes these days, man.
I know, it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's scary. I've actually found time to come to your house,
Nice.
and we're not doing it over the telephone.
Nice.
Without you going, the audio on this is shit.
You know what? Like the episode that we did, 40, was it 40 or 41? Whatever, I can't remember now. I wasn't fond of the of that speaker thing.
Which is funny because I actually so just to rewind a bit, you rang me up afterwards and you said, look, I've listened to the podcast and my audio sounds like crap, and I said, that's because you're on the phone, right?
Yeah.
and that's what being on a phone sounds like. So it was.
Yeah, but the thing is, what you need to understand is when I'm listening to podcasts, right? I want to listen to good quality audio. If I hear rubbish or trash audio, then I'll turn that shit off straight away, man.
Sorry. But what I find really funny about that is because I'm the audio person. I'm the one who's obsessed with audio.
I know, right? And you released a rubbish episode.
It wasn't a rubbish episode. You were on a telephone. That's what a telephone sounds like. If it was distorted and really crappy quality audio from a telephone, then yes. But it was actually decent quality audio from a telephone.
Yeah. Okay.
We've actually shot
okay for what it was. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, when you can't get into a studio to record, it makes it happen.
I know. It's what I prefer talking to you face to face rather than on the phone conversation because I feel like we engage a lot better.
We do, and the facial expressions.
Yeah,
I can read you when I'm actually seeing your face, and I know when I'm saying something.
What am I thinking now?
I don't think I could say that on radio.
Hey, how was your week? Did you do anything exciting, or what's been happening with you?
Did a couple of shoots. As most people know, I've taken a bit of a step back from doing a lot of shoots. I do occasionally do one here or there. Do a lot of editing for previous clients with the productions. Like they might be doing a remix of a video. I call it remix because it's what I used to do with audio, but it's re-edit. So I'm still stuck in my heyday of dance music and remixing. Anyway, so I've been doing a bit of that, and on the weekend that passed, I was actually meant to go to a wedding, and they had organised everything, and they had photographers there and videographers, and paid a lot of money for these guys. They were very, very good photographers and videographers.
Were they using Sony's, were they?
Actually, everyone was using Sony's there, even the videographer. And then I showed up with my Canon, and they're like,
yeah.
I'm like, please don't hurt me. No. But what ended up happening was the night before, I got a phone call saying, hey, would you mind taking some photos?
At the wedding,
where I was a guest.
Yeah, right. Okay. And they invited you as a guest, and then they said, "I'll bring our camera just in case."
Yeah, and look, it was to take a few photos here and there, but we both know that when it comes to doing photos, if someone tells you to bring a camera, you sort of automatically go into that work mode, and you sort of start just work, and it becomes another session, another photo shoot, even though you're not meant to. And then, of course, you're meant to be enjoying yourself and dancing or eating or whatever, but you're too busy taking photos.
That's right.
And so I did that. I did take the photos, probably.
But hang on, step back a little bit. So they actually had a photographer there.
Two photographers.
You're the third wheel.
I was the third wheel. So they had two photographers. Each one of them had two Sony cameras, and that possibly was the reason they actually wanted me there, because they didn't trust Sony users. They had a videographer there who had three cameras, all Sonys as well. Actually, no, sorry, one of them was Linux. Linux, yes. But she was Sony based as well. And yeah, so I got asked if I could do it. I was like, yeah, no, that doesn't bother me, And I went there and started taking photos, being very mindful that there was paid talent there. So I didn't want to get in their way.
Yeah.
So I said to them, listen, guys, are you okay with me taking photos? They're like, oh, yeah, just don't do this, don't do that. I said, it's not a problem. I've shot weddings before, and I know what shots you're going for, so I'll stay completely out of your way, which I did. Yep. I had a bad experience many, many years ago when I was taking photos for myself at a wedding, and the photographer went apeshit. It was a bad situation. I actually hadn't done anything really wrong, but this photographer felt threatened by having another photographer there. It was the weirdest thing. And even though I wasn't taking photos for the bride and groom, I was doing it for myself because they're friends. She had a bit of an issue. But anyway, so I was really, really paranoid. Ironically, it was at the same venue as where I had the issues 15 years earlier. Yeah, so I was like really cautious. But the guys there were really professional. They were fantastic. They were like, yeah, not a problem, just as long as you don't do this and don't do that, which makes sense. Like if they're taking photos or video of the couple coming down the aisle, they don't want me standing in the way.
No, that's right.
That's one of those shots that...
But you were there just for the reception, right? Not for the whole day.
I was there for the whole day.
What?
Yeah, but I didn't get asked to take photos for the whole day. But I had the camera there, so, you sort of go, well...
Hang on, that's a bit strange, but anyway, okay.
Yeah, so, but I was a guest. I was a guest at the wedding and the reception.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, so I said to them, do you mind? They're like, yeah, no. So we established boundaries of, they were the main photographers. I sat in the, in the pews. I think they're called pews. Those chairs, those church chairs, they're called pews.
I don't go to church that often, so I know what they're.
Oh, well, anyway, so the chairs that you see at the weddings, right? So I'm sitting in the chair and I'm trying not to stick my camera in front of anyone else. I was mindful of where they were. I got some decent shots. It was very difficult to take photos without a flash, I've got to say, because they had these massive windows and there was lots of light coming in from those windows. And I was standing in front of the windows and the room was black. Well, not black, but it was dark. So it was like a silhouette.
Sounds like you were shooting in auto.
In auto? I never shoot in auto. Well, actually, I take that back. There has been times where I've shot in auto just for the sake of it, but no. So it was very much silhouette shots, and then in post production, I basically just enhanced them and brought out the couple and stuff. So you wouldn't be able to tell that they were silhouette shots.
How many images did you take?
I was only meant to take a handful, so I ended up with about 500 photos. But after post-production and editing him, I think I gave him about 300.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I was asked. Yeah.
I still, what, and it does happen to me in a sense, and I turn around and say, sorry, I can't do it. You know what I mean? I understand, like, if there were people that I'm really cautious of what I'm going to say, but like, I think a lot of people don't realize for us this is work, and they feel like just bringing a camera and taking a couple of photos, it's like, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
like, I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that.
No.
And when you go see a lawyer, for instance, if you're doing law, for instance, and then you say, oh, this guy backed into my car and drove off and then I needed some sort of a lawyer advice. Yeah, he would say, yeah, take it to this, that, but he won't actually do the whole thing for you, right? For no fee.
No. But I love the family. And, at the end of the day, I had no problem with doing it. Yeah, probably did more than I should have. And it was kind of weird that they had someone else there. But at the end of the day, I actually really enjoyed taking those photos. The final photos, which I still haven't posted, but I'm going to get onto it. They actually came out really nice, and the couple was fantastic, and I was really happy to help them out. But it does cause a bit of a rift because my wife's like, well, hang on a sec, why aren't we dancing? And I'm like, well, because I'm taking photos.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So the wife took care of the kids and herself essentially because you were too busy taking photos.
Well, no, the kids weren't there, thankfully.
Oh, okay. Then.
So we got away from them. But yeah, look, it was a good night. And the guys working with the guys, they were very professional and they were really good photographers.
Okay, cool.
So that in itself was really nice because I didn't get in their way and I didn't feel like I was a hindrance to them. It was a very long day for them as well. So because they were going crazy. I'm wondering how many photos came out of it because they were non-stop taking photos.
Yeah. Well, usually, and that's one of the reasons why I don't do weddings is just for the fact that it's a full-on day. We're talking about 8-12-hour day. And you don't have time to eat. You don't have time to go to the toilet. You don't have time to do anything else other than your job.
And sweat. I sweat a lot during
weddings. Yeah. And that's what I mean. And that's one of the reasons why I just stopped doing it because I need to be able to have a break. Simple as that.
Yeah. So. But I actually enjoy weddings, to be quite honest, because I know the significant moments during a wedding, like the things that happen, and capturing those moments in a appropriately is really, really fantastic. Like,
Oh yeah, 100%.
you know, like when the woman's crying because she's so happy and there's tears coming down, and you can actually get that photo of the tear coming, sparkling, you know, the reflection of the light. You know, that sort of
by all
thing.
means, mate, I understand with you 100%. And it's like, you know what, you're capturing someone's best day in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, my wedding was my best day in my life. You know what I mean? And you do capture these amazing images, and people are happy and all that sort of stuff. But I just don't think there's enough money in the world to pay me for a 12, 13, 14-hour day to just take photos. And
It kills you. It really does. But I think one of the reasons I actually enjoy doing it is because at my wedding, we actually had, we got stood up by our photographer.
Oh.
And that really, like, I mean, I didn't give a crap. I did, but I wasn't overly impacted by it. But my wife was really distraught. So we had picked a photographer. We had gone to all these, you know, bridal expos and this, that, and the other, trying to do the right thing. You know, my wife's like, oh, we could have a photographer, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And this was before I started doing commercial sort of stuff. And we found a photographer who did some amazing work. Like, it wasn't just photos; it was artistic. Like, they had really done some amazing editing to the photos. And I just saw these photos and I went, wow, they are awesome. You know, so I'm an artist in different ways, as well as sketching and painting and stuff like that. Not very good at it, but I still do it. And the combination of the way he edited looked like it almost painted. It was fantastic. And then we paid him in advance and everything. And then he rang us up about 2 weeks before the wedding and said, I've been offered a better gig in New York and I can't do it. I'm like, pun? You know, like...
So did he give you money back?
No, he goes, oh, no, I'm going to send you one of the other guys from the office. And I'm like, yeah, but we didn't choose the other guy, we chose you.
Wow.
And he's like, oh, but they're just as good, which they weren't. It was honestly, it's almost like they sent the first year apprentice who had actually just learned what a camera was, and the photos were terrible. Like, we literally just refused to accept them. And we ended up not paying the final amount on it, but we lost a lot of money in that process. But it's because of things like that where I sort of think, I want to take photos of weddings and I want to capture these moments that are really important to people and provide them to them so that they've got those special moments. Because to this day, we actually don't have, other than a couple of snapshots that people took in the crowd, we don't have any photos of our wedding. That was pretty much my week.
That was a long one.
that was the whole show. And then thank you for tuning in.
The whole episode today is all about sort of just catching up on a few things and obviously just talking. But yeah, it's the whole week is good. I've started cleaning up my study a little bit more. I've posted all these different items on Marketplace, and as we've discussed this in the past, is it still available? Yes, it is. Anyway, that's my thing. Yeah, the whole week was just like, you know, try to clean up, organize, and, you know, anyway, whatever.
Is it still available?
Yes, it is. You interested?
tweet.
Hey, listen, this week I want to have a quick chat with you just about different things that happened to me. And I was just like, I want to get your opinion on it.
So you brought me here, just for background. Marty goes, hey, let's do a podcast tonight. I want to talk to you about something. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And I'm like, okay, this sounds really...
I want to get your opinion, that's all.
Okay, so you want my opinion. Okay, so the whole episode is going to be about my opinion.
Essentially, yeah. I mean,
Isn't this dangerous? Yeah, it's dangerous when you're asking for my opinion. All right, go for it. Let's go for it.
So I've picked up a new client, and this is like an agency, right? And they sent me on this, and now some people saw my Instagram stories and whatever else. They sent me on a shoot onto the golf course, right? So I had to document the golf course. Anyway, they gave me a very specific script that I need to follow, and with a drone, yeah. So I had to document each hole from a specific angle, from a specific way.
Okay, are you doing the editing for this, or are you just doing the raw footage?
Just doing raw footage for them.
I'm starting to get a picture here of what's going on. Right,
so they sent me out. They said to me initially it was going to be about 3 hours. I said, that's fine. They go, we're happy to pay you for 4 hours. That's fine. Anyway, so I went out there. So they wanted some FPV stuff done, and we'll have sort of stuff done anyway. And while I started doing it, and I've started noticing it's going to take a lot longer, you know what I mean, than just what, you know, I was by myself. Anyway, so essentially it was an hour and a half drive and about 5-6 hour shoot, and it was a full day event, right?
So they said 3 hours. They were paying you for 4, but it ended up being an 8-hour day.
Essentially, with the driving and everything else,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
I mean, they said they're happy to pay my rates for driving, so that's fine. So I did that. So I did that shoot, come back to them, uploaded all the data, and they basically said, okay, can you go back through that data and then go through the whole thing and then just mark which hole is which? Because we don't know. I mean, essentially, I had the clapper on, so they knew exactly where it is. Anyway.
So what the hell's a clapper?
Clapper. You don't know what's a fucking clapper? Seriously?
Oh, you mean the slate board?
It's a clapper.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was like some type of drone term that... Yeah, okay. So you were actually...
It's a clapper.
You're like, when you sent the drone...
every hole that I was at, I basically press record, put the clapper at the front. This
of
is
the
hole
drone?
1, 2, 3. Yeah, of in front of the drone.
Oh, I never thought of putting the clapper in front of a drone.
Yeah, because they want to know which one it was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and they basically said you have to fly, 20 meters up. You have to do a certain movement and whatever else. And then, Anyway, I did that, and I've sent them the footage. They come back to me and they go, you have to reorganize the footage. And I said, hang on, but you want the raw footage? So they go, well, yeah, we did, but you want you to mark every single footage, which hole it is, and so it's easier for us to
rename the
rename
footage.
everything.
Yeah,
we had to get rid of extra file.
How many videos was there?
Oh, there was shitloads, because it was a full day shoot.
Yeah, but how many holes was there? Like 15, 20?
18 holes.
It's 18. Okay, it's not that hard. Come on, keep going. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, but it is better than mucking around, yeah? Anyway.
Yeah.
So I said, look, that's fine. You guys paid me for 4 hours. Essentially, it took a whole day. So, no, stuff you. I'm not going to do it because I'm busy at the moment. If I wasn't busy, I probably would have done it anyway. So there you go. All right, cool. They paid me for it. All good. 2 days later, they sent me on another shoot. Exactly the same thing, right? So I basically did exactly the same thing. I actually sat down, renamed everything, blah, 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 blah. 2 days later, they get back to me and they go, no, you stuffed up. It's not what we're looking for.
So what was it that they were expecting?
So, look, the shoot was actually quite technical from a perspective of you had to fly on a certain level, and then you had to actually make a certain movement between the green. So when you get to the end, to the hole, you had to do a specific movement. Now, they wanted, for instance, a specific thing where it was flying and then like a circle around the green from the same height. Now, the way it works with the drone, it's fine, you can do it. But if you got trees in the way, you have to go higher, or you're not going to get the whole, in the area, yeah? So they were not happy with, X amount of thing, and they turn around to me, we're not going to pay you. And I was like, well, hang on, but the footage, so I've used 2 drones, FPV drone and normal drone. I said, well, you can still use the FPV footage. And they go, yep, that's fine. And then basically I was waiting for them. I sent them multiple emails. They never replied. And basically they said, then we're not going to pay you. We're not going to use you again. So what are your thoughts on that? I was actually quite upset about the situation. You know what I mean? And look, it wasn't a huge amount. But at the end of the day, it was still 4-hour paid job plus travel as well.
Okay, so you're saying the first shoot you got paid for wasn't the amount that you should have been paid for, because at the end of the day you did a lot more than what you should have.
Correct.
Second time round, you basically did a shoot, you gave them the footage, and they basically refused to pay you.
Essentially, yeah, because they said it was not what they asked for, yet the footage from, say, FPV drone was fine.
All right.
So they said you only did half of what we asked for, and that's it. Like, there was crickets from them. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. Just to me, that sort of just got me really upset in a sense, and I just don't think I want to work with them again. You know what I mean? Then they sent me an email 2 days ago to say, hey, update your details, because if we're going to send you on another shoot, we want to know your correct details of your equipment, your ABN number, and all that sort of stuff, Australian business number. What are your thoughts on that?
Was this the same company that's hired you a number of times?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so it's a first time.
No, it's a first time thing. So they're fairly big.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to mention any names because I just think, but it's like I did what best to my ability. Maybe there are certain things that maybe could have covered. And I said to them, I'm happy to go back again and cover those spare holes that I've missed. And they go, nah. They were like literally almost to a point where it's like use and abuse. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's how I got the feeling. It's really strange.
It's one of those things which it is a bit weird.
Tricky.
Yes and no. The question is, first of all, did you want to work for them again? Do you have any desire to work for them again, knowing full well that they don't pay as much as they should, and then that they do this type of stuff? Would you really want
no, but saying that though, like they do some exciting projects, yeah?
They do.
Yeah, I'm following them on Instagrams and, and Facebooks and whatever else. So some of the projects that they do, they're really cool projects, yeah? They'd love to be on. But, yeah, since they haven't turned around and paid me what we agreed to, I don't want to work with them anymore. I'll just tell them to get stuff now. I'm not even going to reply to that.
Okay, so that's the answer. So basically... Yeah.
But I just lost a fair bit of money, yeah?
No, and that does happen. Now, there's a couple of... Personally, that doesn't sit well with me. If you've done part of the job, and I first thing I would be saying to them is, fine, that's not a problem. If you don't want to use the footage and you're not going to pay for it, that's fine. Not a problem. Unfortunately, you need to be aware that this is by intellectual property, and you can't use any of the footage then if you're not paying for it, because it still belongs to me. And you need to make that clear, first of all. That's the first thing, because at the end of the day, they've got the original, like the final version of the...
Yeah, I've emailed them everything. Because, I mean, it's a big, respectable company, so it's not like you think that... Yeah.
The problem is a lot of these big, respectable companies aren't really respectable companies, and that how they get to where they are is by screwing everyone over. Not to say that this is what's happened in this particular case, but nonetheless...
It's a tricky one. Like I said, they needed a specific height and a specific frame. Now, the drone that I'm using, it's got a fixed lens on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So therefore, I need to be able to go higher to be able to achieve the same look. Yet they said no, you can't go higher to achieve that. You have to be able to. So therefore, like they almost set me up for failure. Does that make sense?
Well, this is the problem. If you can't do it, you can't do it.
But they know what gear I've got. So therefore, I've told them, I said, I've got this gear, this is what it is. So therefore, it's a company that deals with this sort of rubbish, yeah? So anyway, I just, to me, that was just really a bit of a dog act, almost, you know what I mean? Like, I've sent them multiple emails saying, hey, can the client use this footage? Can I still get at least reimbursed for my fuel? You know what I mean? At least something for my 2 hours of travel, each way sort of thing, you know what I mean? And nothing crickets, you know what I mean? So it's just like...
This is the problem with big business, because they've probably got like about 20 people on the books.
Yeah.
And if you don't toe the line, don't do what they want and kiss their ass, they'll just move on to the next person. And in this industry, what I found is there's a lot of people who are willing to undercut each other to get an opportunity. Yeah. And usually it's at their own demise. Like I've seen people... There was a while ago, I saw something on an online forum where someone offered to do 4 hours of a wedding shoot for $80. You just sort of think that's just not doable. That's $20 per hour, which I think that's even below the award wage. That's not incorporating processing times. It's not including wear and tear. It's not including travel. But the thing is, a lot of people just don't care. They'll just keep moving on to the next person. That's how a lot of these big businesses work, which is unfortunate. It's one of those hard ones. I mean, if you don't want to work for them anymore, I would say personally make sure, and even if you do want to work for them, I would still send that email telling them that it is your intellectual property and that they can't use it. That's not a problem. You understand that they can't use the footage for what the purpose was, but please be aware that this footage hasn't been paid for and it belongs to me. Do not proceed and use it in anything and look forward to the next job. And just leave it at that. I actually used to have a company which was robotics based. It was actually one of my earlier clients. And I would do a shoot in Melbourne for them. I think travel time, parking and everything else was 2 hours both ways altogether. And the video itself used to be like 2 hours. So 2 hours travel time, 2 hours video time. And I was working with them for about 3 years. And I probably discussed this on a previous episode, but one day they rang me up and they said, hey, we need you to go to this location, which was further out, like completely further out. And, the video is going to take a lot longer to record. I'm like, cool. So it ended up taking me, I think it was like about 3 hours to get there and 3 hours back. So it was 3 times the amount of travel.
Sure, okay.
And then instead of 2 hours video time, it was actually 6 hours video time. Because it was like multiple angles, it was, these robots moving around, doing all these technical moves and, close up and then high speeding, things like, ramping speeds up to 10,000 times, so you could see it just developing really quickly. They were doing 3D modeling and stuff.
Yeah, right.
This was back in the day when, no one had a 3D printer in their house. It was amazing stuff. Anyway, so I produced everything, sent them the final. They were happy with it. And then I sent them the bill, which ironically was 3 times more, which made sense because it was 3 times the travel, 3 times the video editing, 3 times the filming, and basically got no response from them. And so I was like, well, maybe they haven't got the invoice. Sent it again, chased them up again and again. And I spoke to the receptionist, who I had a really good working relationship after 3 years. And she turned around and said, this has been addressed. This should have been paid. She goes, it's been sent to the manager for sign off. Yeah. And I said, oh, can I speak to him? And she's like, no, he's not in at the moment, but I'll get him to call you back. Never heard back. So basically sent a few emails to him, no response again. And it went on for a while. And then finally I rang up the receptionist and said, look, what's going on? I go, I'm not getting any responses. Every time
a couple of months, obviously.
Yeah, this was probably like 4 months into it.
Wow.
Right? And this is when I was starting off. So, it wasn't, I wasn't even charging that much, which was actually the annoying part about it. I was trying to establish myself, so I was trying to do mates rates and stuff, and it was, in robotics, it was like, wow, that's not something that you do every day. So I tried to do my best, and he got on the phone. He got onto the phone one day and just started abusing me and saying, "There's no way in hell I'm paying this bill. It's 3 times more than what we normally pay you." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's because it was 3 times the travel." And anyway, so it ended up in a complete shit fight. And basically he just refused to pay it. I had to take it to VCAT, so the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal, which is basically a tribunal which basically helps small businesses and stuff. And when the paperwork went out to the tribunal, from the tribunal, which probably took another 6 months on top, so we're looking at almost a year. Yeah. Right. And look, in the scheme of things, looking back, it was measly the amount that I was chasing, but it was the point that I was starting off. I needed the money, it wasn't a lot. And when the actual VCAT papers were issued to him, the money showed up in my account the next day.
Wow.
Right, so it was basically, because they were using the video, they had actually released it.
Yeah, right.
So you can't sit there and say, I'm not paying it, because you're using the footage. It's on your every channel, it's on your webpage. I know you're using it. Yeah. And this is why I say that you make sure that you tell them that they can't use it, because they might be, well, it's not even under the impression, they might just do whatever the hell they want. All right. Yeah. The irony behind that was they called me a week later. Yeah. Now, mind you, this has taken almost a year to settle. They ring me up a week later and they go, "Oh, hey, there's another shoot tomorrow. Are you interested?" I can tell you, you don't need to imagine what I said. It's really obvious what I said. Yeah. And I never worked with them again. But that was just ridiculous. But this is why I'm saying a lot of these companies don't care, and they will do whatever they want, because the client will see the video and they'll get to use it for whatever they're doing, but it's never going to come back to you, so you'll never know. So that's always good to send that out, so they're aware that you're not just someone who's going to be pushed around. That's what I would be doing. Yeah,
no, you're right. And look, you know what? It was just frustrating to be able to get a response. And I think the guy that I was talking to as well, he was quite young too. So it's almost to a point where, I don't know, he just didn't know what he was saying almost. And yeah, I was just frustrated. You know what I mean?
I just said a polite. Don't ever be rude or obnoxious, because just say, look, I appreciate that that it didn't turn out the way you wanted. It's unfortunate. I did do my best, and due to this, and don't get too much detail. Just say, just due to the situation of where you wanted, it just wouldn't have worked. So I did the best that I could, thinking that this would be usable. Yeah. I understand it. And then totally just finish it off with saying, please be aware that because no payment has been received, the footage does not belong to you. Please erase it, and look forward to working with you in future. Polite, business-like, and you're just telling me exactly.
And that's
what
the thing,
you're saying.
isn't it? Like, you have to be polite, because if you start being an asshole,
Well, it's hard because it's, you've just gone out of your way, you busted your ass, and then you got some person who you don't know telling you that we're not going to pay you, and that doesn't. It's not about logic. It's about someone saying that what you've done is wrong. You're not good enough. What you did is not good enough, and it's about. You can't help but take it personally.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to distinguish that and say, hey, this is business. I need to be polite. I need to be, professional in my response without actually including your emotional baggage, because, and that's the hard bit, but it needs to be said and politely as well.
Anyway, thanks for that, man. So second thing.
Oh, there's another issue, or?
No. I was just wanting to know your thoughts on it, because I just thought it's one of those things where it can generate a response from you and additional information to other people that are listening, right?
Oh, the thing is, I mean, I'm a personal friend of yours, so hearing that is very hard for me to detach myself from the emotional side, because I'm very defensive of you because you're someone I care about. Don't care about you, buddy. But that's the thing. Like, I hear this and it gets me angry, and for me, I had to take a step back when I was thinking about this and thinking about how do you do it without, because I'd like to,
No, that's right.
Ring these guys up and tell them what I think.
It is where it is, in a sense. And look, it's not like I don't have enough work at the moment to be able to sustain myself. So I still got plenty of work coming in and still doing whatever I need to do. It's one of those things where, I've been in the business for a while now, and you kind of experience this sort of attitude and things from when you're starting off, but not when you been in the business for such a long time and you're dealing with a big company as well. So you just kind of, But
it challenges your self-worth. I mean, you can't help but not think they're saying that I'm not good enough, what I do is not good enough, and you automatically go into that thing.
Anyway, so I went to the shops the other day, right?
And you bought a pizza?
No, I just went to a local, not pizzas, local...
Bottle shop.
I did drink, but I don't drink that much. Just normal grocery store, like a local one. We've got a Woolies.
Tell us the truth. You went and bought chocolate and ice cream.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so I got my groceries and everything else. Went to the checkout sort of and then this guy was scanning all my items and everything else, and I'm looking at him, obviously trying to be nice and everything else as well. And then I said to him, "Oh yeah, how you going? There's that," and he had a big tat on his hand, on his left hand, with film, like just all around, which is really cool. You know what I mean? So film.
I thought you were going to say he's got a tat and it says Sony on it. I was just going to say that is tragic.
But he had a tat of a film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I looked at the tat. I go, hey man, it's a cool tat. Do you do filming as well? Do you produce filming, or I don't know, videographer or whatever else? He goes, yeah, I do, and I do a lot of other things, and I write a lot and whatever else. And then I turn around to him and say, oh, yeah, that's awesome, man. Like, I do video production as well, and just try to get more information out of him. And then I said, oh yeah, so what's your Insta handle? It's like, I can just follow you, see what your work is. He looked at me like, what the why do you want my Insta handle, or like my Instagram? It's like I'm almost to a point where he made me feel like a fucking almost pedophile.
Hey boy, you look mighty cute in them jeans.
It's really bad, man. It's to a point where it's just like,
did you, when you said it to me, you said, what's your Insta handle?
Oh, it's just really weird, man. Like, the guy looked at me and he's like really looked me up and down and stuff, and then I was like, shit, okay. I said, sorry man, it maybe done something weird, but like normally in this industry we kind of follow each other and we help each other out, yeah. And then he finished scanning the thing, and then I paid for it, and I just like out through the door, man. I was just like, and every time I see him, because this kid is like, I don't know, he looked mid-20s, yeah, like, obviously much younger than I did, but it's like, what the fuck is wrong with these people, man? Like, if you
in the staff room now, there's a picture of you.
Possibly.
Yeah, but beware, this person wants to know your personal details.
Your Instagram freaking handle, you know what I mean? It's like, what the hell? Am I, like, I understand, because, I mean, I used to work in a hardware store, right? And there was guys coming up to, like, to the girls at the front or whatever. Hey, what's your snap? What's your this? It's like they try to pick them up through the Snapchats, I understand that, right? But, like, dude, we're just talking about film production because of your tat, and all of a sudden you're looking me up and down like I'm a freaking, like I'm trying to pick you up or something. Like, I understand these days, gender equality and all that sort of stuff, but I don't understand, man. What are your thoughts?
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm just visualizing. My mind is very graphic. In my mind, in my head, everything plays out like a movie. Right? Oh, yeah, okay. A Quentin Tarantino movie at that,
with a lot of blood and gore and sex.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. And stuff that you're just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, none of it makes sense. And I'm visualizing it, right? It's like, I was thinking about it, a crop screen, the big black bars at the top, and that orange Kodak color sort of thing happening from the 70s. And you're like, hey, Gringo, what's your Instagram? Yeah. And you had like an afro.
But like, like we belong to this, Melbourne Videographers Freelancers group, yeah? Like there's, 20, 30 of us there now, and everyone sort of, helps each other out and looks at, like we check out the Instagram, stories and reels and whatever else. And, it's just like, I've just asked him for his Instagram, like handle or whatever else.
Look,
I don't understand. To me, it's just like, I got really blown away, man. I was just really, I was just like, fucking like smack in the face by one of those, slapping freaking, like, fucking Marty, what the fuck are you doing, mate?
I'm still playing out in my head like a movie.
I don't know. I just found that really weird, man. That's all. And I mean, if you're actually creating and producing quality videos and then social media component, and you're helping businesses grow, whatever else, because I mean, he looked like this guy was obviously producing videos, yeah, having tats and stuff over.
The video in my head just changed. You got an afro and you got flares, and there's like this porn music playing in the background. Ding dong ding 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 ding. Hey boy, what's your Insta handle?
But I mean, am I just the old school, like, kind of, am I getting too old for
no. Look, I think you're very approachable. You're a friendly person. You're out there, working the room. You're a pretty cool, down to earth sort of guy. I guess in this, what do they call it? In this period in our lives, we've got to be like stranger danger about everything. And I guess at the end of the day, if you're not really prepared for someone to sort of turn around and, wearing an afro and flared pants and having porn music playing in the background, asking for your Instagram details, it could probably be taken strangely. For you and me, it's just normal because we're friendly people and we're outgoing and stuff. Not everyone's like that, So, I'm still visualizing it in my head.
Maybe I over-explained it here, you know what I mean? But like, it's just when the guy sort of looked at me and he was just like, why do you want to know my Instagram? Like, it's just like, because we create. I just told you we create, videos, and we produce, we do video production, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it was just really weird, man.
But then again, who knows? Maybe that person has had a bad experience. We shouldn't be laughing. I shouldn't be laughing. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here still, doing different versions of the movie in my head.
He got a little pretty mouth, ain't he?
Every time I see him now, I just go to a different, checkout, you know what I mean? Because I just feel weird with this kid now.
I was going to say, what we should do is just keep sending people there all day. Hey, how's it going? Oh, I love the tattoo on you.
But like, if someone, obviously you're standing there with a camera, you don't have any tats or anything like that, right? But if you're standing there with a camera, and it happened to me in the past, you know what I mean? I was, there was a photographer or like, a guy with a camera at a party or whatever. I just have a chat with him. You know what I mean? Hey,
But that's because we're that way.
Like,
a lot of people.
Why would you create? Why would you advertise that you're creating videos yet you don't want to have anything to do with people? In a sense?
the video just changed in my head, and potentially this is turning into a horror movie.
There we go.
No, but perhaps he was just, pardon my expression, but spreading shit, as they say. Maybe he had.
Why would you have a massive tat on your hand to be able
Why
to?
do people get tattoos on their bodies which don't actually have any meaning whatsoever? That's the question that's many people ponder, including myself. And look, if it was a person who was into video production or photography or videography or whatever you want, or film production, and you had it for that reason, yeah, that's cool. Maybe he was walking past the shop and he went, "Oh man, that's sick. That's better than my." It's probably tattooed over the top of his barbed wire. Tattoo that he had underneath, because he got that one when Baywatch was around and Pamela Anderson had.
I don't think he was young enough for that, but we're old enough for that.
But
whatever.
But yeah, maybe it's one of those tattoos that actually has absolutely no meaning other than that looks really cool. I don't know. I don't.
I just wanted to know your opinion. That's why I didn't mention anything beforehand, because I just wanted your expression on your face to say, "What the fuck, Marty?" It's it was a strange one. That's all.
The first thing you've asked me got me angry. The second one made me laugh. I'm going through all these emotional states.
There you go. That was the whole episode about, man. So.
It's just to see if I can go from angry to happy, which I can obviously. But
yeah. Anyway, so I just thought I'd mention it, and Anyway, you got anything to add?
I can't top that one. Normally I've got something that, a story that I can drop in there, but in this case I'm just completely flabbergasted, as I say.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a bit smacked out. Anyway, that's the episode for today.
Yes. I think we should change the rollout music of this episode to something more appropriate for, "Hey boy, you look mighty fine in those jeans."
Anyway, look, I know you're taking a piss out of it a little bit, but like the whole thing from my end was just really.
Poor Marty's traumatized and I'm laughing.
I was a bit traumatized, man. That's the thing, because it's to me is.
There's going to be a picture. There's going to be a picture of your face on the back of a milk carton. Have you seen this guy?
Yeah.
Please don't go near him. I'm sorry, Marty.
Thank you.
The screen's shots in the back of my head just keep happening.
Anyway,
you're gonna tell me where he works.
Thanks. All the best, mate.
This is a very different episode. Thanks, buddy. I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
Ciao.
Take care.